Welcome to our live stream, everybody. We wanted to make sure that for those of you who are running late, had a few extra 15 minutes to catch up with us. No, but we just, as technical things always come up that are unexpected at last minute, that is just life. And we are here for it. And thank you guys for being here with us. And so I am Meg Engelhart, the producer and writer of ANAGEM, and I want to share a little bit today just about, before we get into the album songs, I just want to give a little bit of backstory to ANAGEM and where it came from, where it began, what the name means, and throughout this live stream we will go through each song. We're going to share a little bit of heart behind it and message behind it, and I just want to encourage you guys to, if you have questions or comments that come up throughout, feel free to put them in the chat, because we will periodically take some time to answer some questions along the way and at the end, and just want to encourage that engagement with you guys. So yeah, thank you guys again for being here. So just a little quick backstory on me is that ANAGEM for me began out of a season of, I had decided to stop songwriting and began this period of time where I was only singing psalms. And in the process of doing that, I got connected with this recording studio in Austin, Texas when we lived there. And they were really interested in helping me record a psalm. And they basically were like, here's the ropes and you can record it yourself. And so I discovered how much I loved recording music. And so out of that time, I ended up writing a whole album and recorded it and produced it on my own. It was a solo record. And I had been also, previous to that, starting to write this book, a novel. And out of that, I was needing a name for my main character. And so I landed on this name, ANAGEM. And so when I was recording this album, I knew I wanted to release music under a different essence than my own name and my own identity, to create separation and to give a space where I'm telling a story and it's not just my identity is wrapped up in it. And so I pulled this name from this novel that I had been starting to write, and that's where ANAGEM came from. And so I want to share a little video about what ANAGEM means, because this is our frequently asked question. And after that plays, I'm going to invite Dawn and Linnea to come join me, and we will begin this journey together. So yeah, hang tight, grab your tea, and let's get this rodeo going.
ANAGEM has two facets to it. Ana represents a process of transformation where our lives get turned inside out and backwards. It's a continuum to which we often return again and again. This is a process we wouldn't necessarily choose, yet it is in these very places where we encounter the most profound opportunity for God to demonstrate His grace towards us, which is an active, transforming agent. And secondly, gem is what ultimately comes out of this process, something beautiful, valuable, and lasting. Ultimately, what is shared and experienced is a byproduct of the process that's been lived. In our case, a journey through sound and emotion, which results in music.
All right, welcome back. So I have with me here Linnea and Dawn, and they have wildly come with me on this journey of recording this album. And just a little quick backstory, and then I'll kind of loop them in, is we I had written these songs and had these demos of these songs for Out of Exile, and I guess I could look at you guys now. Now we're talking. And we, I was in a period of time where I was just transitioning from just a really disorienting season of motherhood and life in a different city, and just grappling through identity and calling, and was kind of coming out of that and into this place where I feel like the Lord was really teaching me about life and peace and joy in the midst of hard moments and times. And when I recorded these demos of this new album and knew that I didn't want to record this album alone, and I didn't know how this was going to work. I had no idea. I didn't really have very many musical people in my life, despite living in Austin, Texas, this live music capital of the world. And so it was just kind of mystery. And then we moved back to Michigan, and suddenly just this flood of musical mothers started flooding into my life. And you guys were a huge part of that. And it was such confirmation that, yeah, I don't have to do this alone anymore. And we got to begin this journey. So if you guys want to share a little bit about your, just who you are and a little background of yourself musically and coming into this process with me.
Sure.
You can go ahead and start.
Well, I'm Linnea. So originally learning to play drums started with percussion, and a musical outlet has been part of my life for as long as I can remember, actually. But it started in 6th grade. So I attended kind of a smaller school in the area, and in that school, and in 6th grade, they gave us the opportunity to pick an instrument. I don't remember how many instruments we could choose from, but there weren't that many, but percussion was one. And I really don't remember why I picked that, but I'm glad that I did. My sister was very musically talented. She played the flute. And so I had grown up, she's about 5 years older than me, and so I grew up with that around me, and I enjoyed what that brought, to our family. We attended different concerts and things like that, and I just really enjoyed that culture. And she was also very, she practiced a lot, she took lessons, she was just really committed, and so I saw someone like that to mimic. And so in 6th grade, I chose percussion. And then from there, found out that our small school offered jazz band in middle and high school, which is pretty cool for a smaller school in this area. That's not what you always find. So I definitely wanted to try jazz band, which meant I needed to learn the drums, not just bell set and snare drum. But the rule was you had to do a year of concert band before you could do jazz band. So I didn't actually start playing the drum set at school until 8th grade. But at the time, I didn't have a drum set, so my mom actually played French horn growing up, and so she, in order to buy me my first drum set, my mom sold her French horn, and that allowed them to purchase my first drum set. But I didn't really realize what she was gifting me at the time. It wasn't until a lot later that I realized she was gifting me a lot more than just an instrument. That drum set and me learning to play and to perform. I was in jazz band, pep band, marching band, concert band, all those things. Those things are out of my comfort zone. Those aren't natural to me, but I love playing the drums, and so those things, that brought me to those things. So that was the gift, really, that she gave, is that for the rest of my life I would have this musical outlet. After high school, throughout my young adult life, I continued to play at our church on the worship team, and I enjoy that too, but it's just kind of a different type of playing. And that's how I met Meg and Corey. The first week they attended our church when they moved back to town. I happened to be on the worship team that day, and I remember Meg came up to me, and
I had giant saucers in my eyes because I was like, there's a female drummer and she's so good.
Yeah, and just what I remember, I don't remember exactly what you said, it's a little bit of a blur at this point, but I
I
remember...
was kind of like, can we play music together?
Yeah, and I remember
instant fangirl.
I just felt like it was really genuine. What you were saying was not just like to make me feel good. It was like you really enjoyed the music, and that's like the best compliment that a drummer can receive, is that their drumming somehow enhanced the experience or whatever they were listening to. So anyways, then shortly after, I don't know if it was that day or another day, but you had basically said like, hey, I'm an artist, I'm a songwriter, I have these songs, and I need help with rhythm, and
totally,
would you embark on this journey with me? And I was like, oh, like, I don't know if she knows that I'm not equipped for this. Like, in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like, I'm probably not the person, but sure, I'd
you
love
give
to
a lot
help.
of those caveats in the beginning too.
Yeah.
Like, if you decide you want to find somebody else, it's okay.
I wanted you to have a way out, because I just, I don't know. I kept saying yes to each step of this journey, and I'm so glad that I did, because here we are.
Awesome, thanks. How about your journey, Dawn?
Yeah, so my journey also started in childhood, and I had a drummer for a father, so I came from a very musical household, and as you were describing your story, Linnea, it came to mind that it wasn't just a gift that your mother gave you, but was also kind of a sacrifice that she made, and probably your whole entire family made, because just hearing my dad's stories growing up, like having a kid drummer is not the most peaceful of existences, right? So I just think that's beautiful that she encouraged you through that. But yeah, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I would get lulled to sleep by a drum set. So, and even to this day, you walk into my dad's house and you're greeted by probably 3 drum sets, at least 4 basses, a baby grand piano. I mean, it's just music everywhere. So I was really blessed by that upbringing. But I didn't really dig into being an instrumentalist myself until adulthood. I actually joined a church who they had a pretty good population of musicians, but it just so happened that they didn't have really any bass players. And of course, I'm a bass player, so I'm a little bit biased here, but that deep bass sound in worship music, it just brings one in so powerfully, and so we were missing that for quite a while. And one day I just was like, you know what? I feel like I could probably try it. I come from a musical background. Let me pick up a bass and see what happens, and I ended up being the primary and only bass player for that church for a good couple of years. And oftentimes worship music can be a little bit more simple when it comes to, especially the bass line. It's usually one note at a time and calm and that kind of thing. So I didn't grow a huge amount as an instrumentalist, but it was really fun and I enjoyed it. And then life happened and I set the instrument down, and it had been, probably 7 years. And I too went through a very tumultuous time in life. And there was just a lot of transition. I had become a mother. I was homeschooling my kids, ended up with a business opportunity that was becoming my own all of a sudden that I didn't expect. And I was ready for it and excited for it, but it also came with just some emotional tie-ups that you had to get through, right? As change does in life. And one day I took my daughter to a dance class and I was sitting there kind of in the thick of that emotional part of it. And this lovely woman sat down next to me, and that was you. And we started chatting, and we just had the most amazing Holy Spirit connection that I was kind of all of a sudden just, letting all of my current life situation out and just talking about it. And you're so gracious and received it so well. And then you'd share with me. And then we ended up getting to the more superficial stuff of well, who are you and what do you do?
Deep immediately.
Yes.
And they're hold on, did I catch your name?
Yeah, exactly. So that's when it kind of came out that Meg was a musician and had written an album. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. And just in an effort to make conversation, I said, oh, I used to play bass guitar in a worship band like a decade ago, whatever, expecting her to be like, oh, that's cool, then move on with the conversation. But sure enough, those saucer eyes showed up again. And she was like, well, would you ever want to play music together? And I was like, you heard the part where I haven't picked it up in at least legitimately 7 years, right? And she was like, yeah, let's just see what happens. So really
I was
similar
like, can you
to
play on rhythm?
Linnea.
Because I don't know much about bass.
Yeah. And having come from a drummer dad, I was like, I feel like I could probably hold that down at least somewhat.
Yeah.
So so we met and I said yes, same thing. And we were just reflecting, before we came on live stream about how the Lord really uses weakness to bring his glory out. And I think that what we're doing today hopefully is a reflection of that, because I think all of us still feel inadequate and we shouldn't be the ones bringing this message forward, but we're just saying yes because he's charging us with it. So we're really grateful to be here.
Yeah. And just the gift of the camaraderie here too, because I think like particular like rhythm and bass are two areas that I'm kind of oblivious to. And I remember just talking about how much I struggle with rhythm, and I remember somebody making this comment when I lived in Austin, oh, well, you could just take a drum class then. And I was like, do I have to do all the things? And the same thing with bass. I tend to make these melodic bass lines, and my husband is like, that's very interesting. So such a gift to just have that camaraderie.
Well, and that gift goes both ways, Meg, because you wrote these songs. These songs came from like the deepest inner parts of your soul and of your experience, but you've invited both Linnea and I into the process of bringing them to life, you know, and that is such an honor for you to ask us to contribute and to change, or, you know, to be open to suggestion. Like, I feel like that's probably rare in the music world, and we're so appreciative of that.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, one other element before we dive into the album as a whole, I wanted to introduce two more ladies who've been part of this process with us, Elise and Courtney, and we have another video we're going to kind of bring in from a little talk with them introducing themselves, and we'll bring them back in later in the live stream to share about their contribution in the album. So hang tight for that. Hey everybody, with me I have these two beautiful ladies who joined me on 4 of the songs on violin, as well as Courtney joined on Thank You with the organ, and wanted to just take a second to introduce you to them and hear a little bit from them about their contribution to the album and who they are as people. So hello, ladies. If you'd please just take turns and introduce yourself and share a little bit about your music background and just what music has been to you throughout your life. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Elise, and I live in the Marquette area, and I grew up here. As far as my music background, my mom was a music teacher, so music has always been a part of our life, and she also made a big deal about being involved in music and how that affects your learning and who you are, so it was always a priority. So I started with piano lessons when I was young. I'm not exactly sure how old I was. It was early elementary school, but it didn't go so well, to be honest. And right away my mom was like, I don't know if she's musical. Like, this might not be her thing. She maybe takes more after her dad. So I did it for a few years, and it never really connected well with me. So I was in school. This was in 4th grade. The orchestra teacher for the middle and high school, he went around to every classroom one day, and he demonstrated violin, viola, and cello for all the classes. And when I heard the violin, it just spoke to me, and I was just on fire about it. I went home, I told my mom, I want to play the violin. And she said, oh, okay. I think she was a little nervous about, the squeaking and all that, but, she was very supportive about me trying something new. So she did let me stop piano lessons, and I started violin. And so I joined the orchestra in 5th grade. And she also got me private lessons. I met weekly with my wonderful violin teacher, Marilyn, and she was great. And I actually wasn't squeaky. And violin just was something that fit better with me. I instantly loved it, and I played with the orchestra all throughout school, so middle school and high school. We got to go to England and Scotland and play in different cathedrals there. It was amazing. And after high school, I continued just playing with my church. I joined the praise team, which was a much different experience than playing with an orchestra. There wasn't always sheet music, and it was a big learning curve. And then I usually played at my old church. I played communion weekly. I would do hymns and different things. And that's where I'm at now. And I still sometimes play at church, not weekly anymore, but and I have been playing for 27 years now, so it's been a long time.
Solid. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And you want to share a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Courtney, and I have been playing music for as long as I can remember. One of my earliest memories was discovering singing in my voice and just sitting and singing to myself as a little kid. I took piano lessons starting at the age of 4, and I loved it. It was either something that I was just started so early it became a part of me before I knew that there was a me, or I was just truly had a passion for it. And so after taking piano lessons for about 8 years, I wanted to take violin too. And my parents were convinced that I should focus on piano. I was spending a lot of time and started taking lessons with a college professor at that point and was really focusing like hours of practice every day. They're like, maybe you should just focus on the one thing. But I really wanted the violin, and so I started that when I was 12. And that kind of opened a lot of doors for playing, not just in my home. I played classical piano, and I think that was something that I could do on my own, and I would do in piano competitions, but not necessarily get to play with other people. And so violin opened that door to play in an orchestra, to play in different ensemble things put together with my music teacher at the time, and then starting to do public performances that I would organize with my other music geek homeschool friends that we would do at nursing homes and other things, which led to a bluegrass band, which led to a decision on what I would do for college, knowing that I loved teaching and I would teach something, and didn't know what it would be. It was either going to be science, English, or music. And I decided, I already get to do so much music. I would hate to not have that time to do music. Hi, buddy.
This is real life, man.
Yep. Anyway, so I went to school for music so that I could practice, continuing my habits of lots of hours of practice in a day. And then I ended up taking Elise's mom's job when she retired as a music teacher, and I did that for 7 years. And then I came home to be with my family, but I still am very involved with music. I wasn't doing much more outside of my church until Meg approached me to be on this album. But it's been kind of fun to enter the world of music performance outside of the church in a different way than I have in over 10 years now.
Oh my goodness, can I just say I love that Courtney's son came into the shot because that is part of our identity, right, as a band, is that we're a mom band. We're moms first, a band second, and that was just such a great example of how this has gone for us and how that part of our identity has been important to us. And I think one of the important things to me that I've been proud of to be a part of is that we have a standard for the material that we put out, and we carefully choose our cover songs and make sure that we're singing lyrics that are edifying to the mind and the body and the soul all at the same time. And I just thought that was a great example of that part of us.
For sure. Yeah, that's been a gift too, because we all get it when we're like, I'm coming in a little crazy right now.
Yes.
Just making space for that. So yeah, and in light of coming in as we are, one little element to this album was I got really sick for, it was nearly 2 months. I think it was potentially COVID, but I had this lingering chronic cough around the time that it came to record the album, and we kept delaying it. And Gary Wickstrom, who is our engineer, which shout out to Gary. We wanted to pull him on the live stream, but we weren't able to coordinate our busy lives quite yet. But we'll do another interview with him at some point and hear a little bit from him about the recording and engineering process. But anyway, he was about to be leaving town, so we had to figure out a time to record. So finally, I was like, you know what? With this cough, I'm just gonna have to record the album when my voice is not at its best. And it was really hard, but I felt like, maybe it's meant to be that my scratchy voice is part of the essence of this album, Out of Exile. And so this evolved into the tea time today because we had all these ongoing jokes, because the entire time I was recording, I was just chugging mug after mug after mug of throat coat tea, my traditional medicinals, and we don't yet have a sponsorship from them, but
We're trying though.
I did reach out. So we wanted to say this album is sponsored by Throat Coat, but not yet.
It's
Anyways,
Not monetarily. Physically it was though, right?
there we go. Yeah. And so that evolved into just talking about this album and the tea time event. And so in light of that, I want to just do a little shout out to these beautiful mugs Linnea has designed and put together. And as part of this live stream, for all of you lovely people who are joining us, we want to give one mug away for free. And the way to get that will be at any point in the next, what do we give them a deadline? 24 hours or so? If you share one of our songs, whether a YouTube link or another link, and just share it online, tag anagem.music in it, and give a little shout out to maybe a song that speaks to you or just something you appreciated about the album. We will take all of those submissions and do a random drawing, and whoever the lucky winner is, we will get in touch with you and send you a mug. So we're trying to be legit. So we got a giveaway. So yeah, cheers to Throat Coat Tea and the inspiration that came from it. So
and otherwise, we do have these for sale as well.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's right.
So if you don't win, our condolences, but you can also purchase them as well as our CDs. We're excited to have some materials to be able to send out into the world. And on the back part of these mugs here, we've got lyrics from the entire album. Each song kind of highlighted in a different way, really the essence of the song. So while you're drinking your morning tea, you can be inspired by the lyrics of the album.
Right, absolutely. Thank you for that. So without further ado, we will now share Out of Exile. Cheers to the beginning. So yeah, we have a little summary written up of each song to kind of help give a little definition and explanation, not trying to define it entirely, but just to kind of bring in what is the essence, what is the overall vision. And so Out of Exile, life often brings us through seasons of darkness, exile. This might look like desolation, monotony, weariness, or deception. This album is an invitation to enter the journey towards healing, surrender, calling, gratitude, and ultimately towards finding the place we really belong. This journey begins with a simple yes and a willingness to enter the process. And the first song on our album is called Old Guitar, and it's the journey of coming out of darkness. And Linnea, would you like to read the definition of old guitar, and we'll chat a little bit about it, and we will share the lyric video.
Old guitar invites us to bring into light that which we've hidden in the shadows, to offer honesty instead of perfection, and acknowledgement that God works best paradoxically in and through our weakness. Not only that, but he often calls us to places in which we feel ill-equipped. Yet, we're not meant to go alone. It means welcoming others in, which requires vulnerability and courageous honesty. And as we do this, we step back towards the path of life.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the essences that always brings me back to this song was the moment when I wrote it. Was I hadn't touched my guitar in a really long time, and I was really, really struggling with heavy emotions that felt impossible to get through. And I showed up and I grabbed my guitar, and I was just like, all these thoughts of, you're not even a good guitar player. You basically write with 4 chords or maybe even 2 chords every song. It's the same. And so that's exactly where I began. Old guitar from my closet, come and ring, shake out every shadow. I need your healing. And I don't have much for fancy tricks. I might use the same 4 chords, but I'm going to show up with what I have. And that's honest words. And so the beginning of this journey just begins with, you know what? I might not be the best singer or musician. I might not have touched my bass in 7 years. I might not feel like I'm enough to drum or whatever. And just saying, I'm just going to show up with what I have, and I'm going to bring that forward. And so that's like a huge kind of grounding part of that. And like in showing up, that's the opportunity we get to begin to shake out those shadows. And so, yeah, you guys want to comment on anything, or do we want to dive into the song? And
yeah, I just think what you just said is so well put. without that honest approach to exactly where you are and what you are feeling, you're not necessarily lending reality to the negativity. You're just accepting it. You're completely disarming the adversary, the accusatory words and voices that are in your head, and you're just opening up and allowing God to step in and take something that you feel isn't adequate and making beauty out of it. And he really just shines through that type of scenario. So yeah, I think that this song speaks to all of us based on the testimonies we just shared, and I'm excited for everyone to hear it.
Yeah. Do you want to share anything, or are we ready to dive in and listen?
I'm excited to hear it.
Okay, yeah. We've kept you guys waiting a while, but part of this is just kind of laying the groundwork for introducing ourselves as people, just human beings along the journey. So, yeah, without any further pauses or delays or fabricated reasons or talking, we present Old Guitar.
Old guitar from my closet, come and ring. Shake out every shadow. I need your healing. I've been chased by the dark for too long. So now come and sing with me. Let's make a song. Let's make a song. Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. Yeah, hey, yeah. I've been chased by the dark for too long.
There it is, Old Guitar. One of the things that kind of continually reminds me that song is, in Jeremiah 1, God is just encouraging him. He's like, don't just say I'm a youth, because I'm going to put my words in your mouth, and where I send you, you will go. And just remembering of, we show up and we bring what we have, but, the Holy Spirit is such an inspiration and brings things together in ways that are so beyond what we could orchestrate. And I feel like that song is such a fun way to begin the journey, because it starts out with just me and my guitar, which is where all of this began, and then just the way the instruments come in is just such an incredible evolution of that. So yeah.
And I think one of the things that I really like about the song that isn't necessarily something we usually focus on is the acknowledgement of the darkness and the nature of the shadows that are following and chasing and sometimes feel enveloping, and just overwhelming. And as I was reflecting on the song, I wrote, sometimes the presence of darkness, sometimes the prolonged presence of darkness is what forces us to acknowledge that we are in darkness in the first place. And sometimes it takes a moment for one's eyes to adjust once they step back into the light. But those things that we feel in life that are difficult and hard and dark and those are sometimes the things that propel us into action, that brings us back to the light, and that makes them a blessing in and of themselves. And that brings to mind, the Lord makes all things work to good for those that love him. And, there's always something to be grateful for, even in the darkness, it can be used for good.
This just reminds me, just a couple days ago, I was talking with a friend, and she brought up this really interesting point that that this period of our lives, like in our humanity, like pre-heaven, so to speak, is the only time where we can worship in a place of pain, because outside of this life, like, we will not be, experiencing just the weight and the burden and the pains of this life. And even the angels themselves cannot worship, out of pain. And it's like there's something so sweet and so precious by saying, yeah, in this dark moment, I'm going to choose to worship, because the light is just shifting your focus there, and there's something very special and unique to that.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the most challenging questions in our faith walk becomes, why does God allow hard things to happen, difficult, evil things to happen? And I think what we're touching on here is the answer to that question. I think without darkness, light becomes just something that is. But with darkness, light becomes this tangible destination that you want, that you strive for, that you search for, and it becomes meaningful and purposeful. And that's really an important part of the human existence.
Yeah. And I think that can potentially segue into our next song here. Threadbare Faith is being able to, just trusting beyond what we see sometimes.
Yeah. And
this song kind of began with coming out of monotony, feeling this desolation of monotony, that my life is currently feeling meaningless. I don't see the value in this moment whatsoever, and kind of a conviction there of being able to look beyond by trusting like the good history of what God has done, and being able to trust He's making a good history out of this current monotonous moment. And I think there's more to it than monotony, but that's kind of where this song began for me. Would you like to read the little synopsis here?
Absolutely. Threadbare Faith acknowledges the disappointment that monotony and the unglorious in-between moments can yield. It also reminds us of the opportunity at hand for a strong character to be forged within these many unseen acts of service and pouring out. Proverbs 31 illustrates how these small acts over the span of a lifetime can result in an incredible larger picture. We can learn to trust God's timing and purposes by resting in His history of redemption. It's not about the size of our faith, but who our faith is in.
Awesome. Well, without further ado and delays, so I don't drive everybody nuts, we present to you Threadbare Faith.
I am here, still one hidden possibility, pouring out my abilities on the ones around me. Even though it's sacrificial to provide a life that's not so typical, taught me to love strong character more than public affirmation. So I love you with my threadbare faith. I'll trust you more than my imagination. I'll rest in your good history. I am yours, so have your way with me. Carving out my little time to keep me anchored between every shifting tide, so I can listen in the silence and see the way you're guiding me through the darkness. I know it'll go forward love you with my threadbare faith. I'll trust you more than my imagination. I'll rest in your good history. I am yours, so have your way with me. I love you with my threadbare faith. I'll trust you more than my imagination. I'll rest in your good history. Oh God, please open my mind to see the truth through your eyes. That you never leave me. You're making every wrong thing right in your good history. Your good history. Your good history. Yeah. When I see meaninglessness, you challenge me to see purpose, even if I don't see that the gift is there. Living, never by your side. So you can have my threadbare faith. You can have my imagination, 'cause I'm resting in your good history. It's just so good for me to believe.
Awesome. Well, there it is, Threadbare Faith. One thing that I recently heard within, I don't know, it was probably within the last year, there was this comment made by a friend about this whole notion of the Proverbs 31, how we can look at Proverbs 31 and like read this whole list of these amazing attributes of like what is an incredible woman, basically, and get to that and just feel like, man, I'm falling short. And this comment that was made was, you know, that's the picture of an entire life, is one whole overview. Like if you were to just take all these moments of your life and list them out, it would be overwhelming if you're trying to do that all at once. And so it's just each of these pieces brings in this beautiful picture. And I feel like that's kind of the essence of this song, is just this, like, all these messy threads of our lives, the monotonous moments, the hard moments, the beautiful moments, you know, that this might feel disconnected, but they ultimately are all weaving together into this whole greater story and tapestry. And so that's always such a good reminder of, you know, just that threadbare faith. It's like, you know what, here it is, here's this moment, I'm offering it, and I'm bringing it forward, and I'm trusting you're going to do with it something beautiful, because I can't necessarily see that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that analogy is really great too, because, you know, if you zoom in on a tapestry, if you look at one thread in a tapestry, you're not going to see how that thread interacts with all the other threads to make this beautiful picture. You know, I mean, I'm kind of repeating what you just said, but it's just so cool to be able to look back on your life, even this far, you know, and see what God has done and how he's affected it and how he's brought us all together, you know, and creating this, you know, little tapestry that we've got as a part of our other individual tapestries. And I think I like what you said too about the history, because I think if you could look back in that woman's life, you would see all of the failures that she experienced or all of the sins that she committed. And then you would see how God was there for her through that, not condemning her, not damning her, but telling her, my wonderful child who I love so much, this is what I'm telling you not to do, this because it's not good for you. Let me help you up out of that. And then her simply acting on threadbare faith on all she's got at that moment to say, okay, yes, Lord, I will step up and I will do what you say next, not because I understand it, but because you're telling me to do it. And I can see when I look back behind me that you've always led me well. And that's really what this song is about.
Yeah, we can really trust his process. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old is gone, and the new is here." There was another quote that came to mind. God changes caterpillars into butterflies, sand into pearls, coal into diamonds, using time and pressure. He's working on you too. And I just thought, man, that really does just remind us how we can trust this, even though we don't know. We can trust that there's a plan, and it's going to be the best plan. It might not be the most pleasing plan in the moment, but it's going to be what's good for us and what is loving for us.
Yeah.
And how kind and generous is it of him that all he requires is a threadbare faith. Like, if you've ever seen a threadbare rug, it's like worn so far down, it's barely hanging on, barely staying together. And boy, if I can't identify with that,
Yeah,
in a lot of my life.
And yeah, it all comes back to this beautiful picture. And practically speaking, it's like the strong character that he is making in us through these trying times. And that's like the beautiful tapestry is that we're coming out of that and into just this beautiful fortified character. And one other element of that is like the mustard seed is not much, and the whole analogy of it and how it can grow into this huge tree, that can host all of these birds of the air. But it's like just faith that big, and it's not about the size of your faith, it's about who your faith is in and trusting that. So and next on the journey we have Right Here, the song Right Here, Out of Weariness. And I guess I will read this one. Right here speaks to the weariness that results from all our striving and how lost we can feel in the messes of it all. It's a prayer to find joy in the present, even when we don't see the desired outcome we've been working towards. Like the Israelites in the desert, we are reminded that the journey isn't just about reaching a definitive destination, but ultimately learning to walk with God along the way. Learning that we're human beings and not human doings. Joy results not from what we see and grasp, but from walking in his presence and receiving the load he actually intends for us to carry. And also, before we share this song, I want to do a quick shout out to my husband, Corey, who is running the behind the scenes for us today. And also, he makes a guest appearance on this track at the intro on mandolin. He last year decided to pick up the mandolin and learn it, and we were trying to figure out how to finish out this intro, and somebody mentioned a dulcimer or a mandolin might do it, and I was just like, hey Corey, you want to join me in this? And he totally did, and so it's super fun to have him show up. So yeah, with that, let's listen to Right Here.
I'd hope by now I'd get to where I'd go. But there's been too many miles and moles of failure. Now I'm just a weary traveler. So instead I'll settle down in this refuge. We'll make a home and raise our children here. Maybe I have wasted my time and this is pointless. I don't know, but I'm terrified of going nowhere. Yeah. Oh Lord, help me find joy. It's not contingent on my sight, and you say your load is easy, and your burden is light. Your burden is so light. I should get lost so very quickly. Why is it so easy to let this exile captivate me? So help me hear the song you're singing over me, and be my guide through every single place. So Lord, help me find joy right here, joy that's not contingent on my side. You say your load is easy, and your burden is light, 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 light. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh yeah, yeah. Baby, he whispers truth inside my feet. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Baby, here's some truth despite your fear. Hey, yeah, yeah. Baby, this road has no end, 'cause you were made to continue. And on the road I'll meet you there. Oh Lord, help me find joy right here, right here. Yes, you say it's easy and it's light, la 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 la.
Gotta go back to the live feed, honey. Oh, we're there. The journey is the destination. You know, that quote has been with me my whole life. I've said it since high school. The journey is the destination, and I can't get away from it. And at the beginning, we shared, you know, the meaning of ANAGEM and how it means, it's really essentially just process, you know, like the whole our lives, and as they're fortified within the process. And this song is just another rendition of that, of just, you know, we can get so fixated on where we think we need to go, just this sort of destination in mind of, this is where I think I'm supposed to be. Why am I not there? I'm failing, and I need to work harder or strive more or try more to get to this place. And God just sort of comes in and is like, nope, like you're, first of all, not a human doing, you're a human being, and I want you to work on being right here in the middle of the mess of this moment. And, you know, this line, instead I'll settle down in this refuge. It's like, I'm gonna just make a refuge in this moment of chaos and disorientation, and I'm gonna, you know, settle in right here and say, okay, this is where I am right now. How do I show up to being here? And help me find joy beyond what I am perceiving in this moment.
There's such wisdom in that. And I think that, especially in today's society, it's a lie that a lot of people fall for, that you have to keep striving and keep pushing and set goals and make it to your destination. But then once you're at that destination, it's just another place of desolation because you've achieved it. Now what, you know? But when the purpose of your life becomes experiencing that journey, then you've actually arrived the whole entire time, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, like you said earlier, that verse of like God causing it all together to work for good, and it's just, it comes back to just trusting in that, and you know, that's It's a beautiful theme, and I feel like these first 3 songs on the album, I'm kind of like, they tell a little narrative in themselves. I also feel like it's a lot of the narrative. We often, we learn a lot in, throughout life and conversations and church circles and that kind of thing. But the thing I'm so excited about this album is that the next song provides this interesting plot twist to it all. So it's like, okay, I've surrendered, I'm being present, I'm accepting where I'm at, and in a lot of cases, like, that's where I need to go. But this next song, Mirage and Illusion, is a bit like, actually, surprise! And that's exactly what life does. And before I talk too much about it, whose turn is it to read?
I think it's my turn.
Okay. Why don't we read that and listen to the song, and then we'll unpack that a little more.
All right. Mirage illusion calls out deceptive paths that might appear to lead to the way to life, but are ultimately shortcuts that lead to consequences and destruction. Just as the Israelites longed for false comforts in the wilderness, we might often find ourselves following illusions that promise fulfillment but leave us empty. True freedom comes from recognizing these deceptions, resisting old patterns of sin, thought, or behavior, and surrendering our personal interpretations of truth, and walking by the Spirit, learning to see things as God sees them.
So let's listen to Mirage and Illusion.
It wasn't so long ago that you were mired in that old stagnant life of sin. You let the world, which doesn't know the first thing about living, tell you how to live. You filled your lungs with polluted unbelief and then exhaled disobedience. We all did it. All of us doing what we felt like doing when we felt like doing it. All of us in the same boat. It's a wonder God didn't lose his temper and do away with the whole lot of us. Instead, immense in mercy and with an incredible love, he embraced us. He took our sin-dead lives and made us alive in Christ. He did all this on his own with no help from us. Then he picked us up and set us down in highest heaven in company with Jesus, our Messiah.
I'm gonna walk towards this mountain. If the valley takes me through, oh, I've been down too many long roads before. Now I know I gotta make this one through, but it's a tough land to claim. Temptations in view, particular mirages, singing their old familiar tune. But I'm trying to make a new way through. Mirage, illusion, stop messing with my mind. I'm pretty sure we're all searching for connection. What neural pathway are you gonna choose? There's a million kind of vices and devices, but let me let you in on a secret. They're just distracting you. This whole illusion just won't do. there's no difference in the message, but will we choose to spend our lessons? My version of peace is that we're each aware of our own messes, and we start moving on the impulse to seek the truth and surrender our own, 'cause this old mirage illusion has gotta stop messing with our minds. This old mirage pollution, we gotta stop giving it so much of our time.
Whew, that song is quite a journey. This Mirage Illusion is the song that is the oldest of all the songs on the album. It came around before my daughter was ever even close to being even a thought or a desire. I mean, it goes back to when my son was a baby when I wrote this song, and I remember singing it and having no idea what I was saying. I just had the essence of the chorus written, but I remember singing it and I'm like, I know there's something to this, but I don't know what it's trying to say. And it took so many years for this song to come forward. And even in the recording process, Gary, another shout out to Gary, he was so gracious, because there's a lot going on in that song, and it was very tricky to get all the pieces to work together. And it was a song that we had some just obscure problems with. I remember working with you, we were recording, and there was just this point where like we watched, what was it, something automatically just like shifted.
Jumps, yeah.
It just jumped and like cut workout that we had done, and it was just like, I mean, and even uploading these songs to YouTube just last night, all the songs were fine, upload just fine. This song dropped. I mean, it's been a real wrangling match, and
it's almost as if somebody doesn't want the mirage and the illusion to be revealed. Oddly.
Yeah, one might think. So this song, there's a real, this whole album being this journey, and it's this song. I think a lot of the neural pathways in our brain and these ruts that we have formed, and even ruts that we inherit in our DNA generationally, just generational patterns that we're just born with inherently, and how so much of life can be trying to like make a new way out of these ruts, or be prevented from new ruts in new directions that are just askew, that do not lead to life. And so ultimately realizing these shortcuts lead to consequences, when it's not a true path towards the character that is being established. And this song is definitely been a wrangling match. I don't know if you guys had any things you wanted to share.
I just felt like this is a perfect example of how Meg has the ability to take any amount of words and fit them into a song. Like the fact that she was able to take, that first section is all just scripture from Ephesians, and so the way you were able to put that to music, I've enjoyed that a lot. That particular part of scripture in Ephesians 2:1-6, it's kind of talking about how before salvation we were basically dead, living according to the world, but God made us alive, raised us up, and seated us in heaven. It's already done. I just think that's such a amazing message to sing about, and such a good inspiration for a song. So thank you for writing it.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely one that is not easy, and it can be controversial, but I feel like the bridge of this song is like from independence, codependence, addiction, grudges, violence, offenses. Like there is no difference. Like brokenness is brokenness, and one is not elevated above another. Like it's all like it's cutting us off from the source of life, essentially. And so for me, it's like realizing peace comes as we just acknowledge, here's my messes, and laying it before, and letting the Lord come and do his work to transform. And then also calling out these attacks for what they are. Like, stop. Like, I'm a new person, so enough. Like, yeah, I know I have that rut in my brain, and I'm tempted to like want to sneak over there again, but like, no, like I'm a new person now. So this song is just boldly and frankly being like, sorry, not today.
Yeah, and that we're not falling for it anymore, because mirages and illusions is definitely a favorite tool of the enemy, I would say. We can look at our society and our culture just for so many examples of that. I mean, on the surface, you could look at AI. I mean, how many times have we been on social media? At this point, we're seeing videos that look like real life, but it didn't happen. You know, it was a computer generated whatever. But deeper than that, you know, you can look at influencer lifestyles or what social media shows that you should be doing. I mean, and again, we're a mom band, so like motherhood really fits into this too. Being the perfect mom, making sure that you're serving your children and your husband or your you know, whatever, to the utmost of your ability. And by the way, we're all failing based on what we see, you know, but all of that stuff is just a mirage and illusion. It's not something we should be comparing ourselves to. And it's a stronghold of the enemy to just drag us down. But the offset of that is an acknowledgement of truth and looking through that illusion. You know, the Bible says that the adversary comes as an angel of light. So he actually disguises himself with these things. And if we just hold fast to truth, we won't fall for them. And I think that's really important.
Awesome. Yeah. Good word. Period. The end. Well, we could take this moment to also mention a little reminder on our mugs too and everything. Not to just have a sudden segue there, but yeah.
These mugs really are as cool as they look. There's no mirage or illusion involved.
Yeah, that was a segue. Had that planned. Yeah, trying to be real here. But yeah, just a reminder that for those of you, if you weren't at the beginning, we want to give a mug to one of you for being here with us. And so you can do that by you know, picking a song from today and sharing it and tagging anagem.music in it. And we will take anybody who does that, do a random drawing, and send you a free mug. And we also have them for sale, as well as we didn't have a chance to kind of show these physical CDs. But they're, yeah, for all of you, what were you saying?
Oh, if you drive a car that's pre-2020 and still has a CD player.
Here we go.
That was the only CD player I had when the albums came in. If you guys watched the unpacking video and to run out to the car.
Yeah. Then we also have digital downloads available as well. And all of that you can find on our website, anagemmusic.com. So not to be sales pitchy, but just as a way to connect beyond the streaming elusive quality. So yeah, with continuation, we will talk about our next song. Is that you?
Me, Come Rest. This is definitely one of my favorite album songs. Come rest. When we confront our issues honestly, we often face discouragement at how messy and long the process is to overcome them. Yes, it is important, and there's also grace. In the midst of our weakest moments, shame and insecurity can cloud our vision like fog in the forest. God invites us, right there in the middle of it, to pause and rest in His peace, reminding us that He has already fought and won these battles for us. Here is where we release control, release our burdens, and allow God's healing to take place in us. His presence penetrates the fog and often reveals the path and purpose around us that we might not have formerly seen.
Thank you. And we present to you Come Rest.
Oh, how I know there's some reason to validate the gray haze and how it settles down just as you decide you're ready to find a new way through this mind's wilderness. Can you find some safe place where you don't maintain your gaze on mistakes? 'Cause this fighting with shame isn't courage, it's crazy. So stop, breathe and release, 'cause this whole journey is hard. So come to keep moving on resurrected legs. Just surrender and give, and fix your eyes beyond yourself when that old journey gets hard. So come, rest your heart a little longer now. Oh, what if the sun comes out and you get a little glimpse that beyond you is a call? What if your steps become lighter and the trail's no longer dark and the path you made is now a road, and you've never been alone, and it's all been worth it. So just rest a little longer now. Just
Wow, I'm just, every time I hear that song, I'm touched by it. Even though we've heard it so many times, I just still think of the concept of grace and just how, even being a Christian all these years, since I was 13 really, but grew up in a Christian household, grace is such a hard thing for some of us to just accept and to understand and receive. It's just, this song is really about that, just accepting that grace from the Lord. This fighting with shame isn't courage, it's crazy. That really resonates with me.
Yeah. I mean, how often do we do that? We're like, I'm gonna man up to this shame and I'm gonna muscle through it.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, no, just stop.
Yeah, and the fact that you call out that it's not courage, it's crazy, because I can relate to that so much, knowing I have these issues within myself, and it's like, okay, I'm fighting them and I'm failing, so there's the shame, but I'm still gonna try to find something to hold on to. It's like, no, just acknowledge that shame and that failure, and then look to the one who can fix it. And it's not you, usually,
Yeah. Well, and it's very, this song is very strategically placed after Mirage and Illusion, because it's like we have the whole arc of the album, okay, come to this place, bring what you are where you are in the dark, just put it in the light and say, I'm here, And, through this point of surrender, Lord, help me see beyond this moment. I give you this moment, to oh my gosh, here's all my issues and calling them out for what they are. And it's like, yeah, that's necessary. But also there's grace. And this song is the reminder of there's truth and there's grace.
Yeah.
And those two things have to come together, because one without the other can not be a balanced, healthy picture.
For sure.
And another line that I always love about this song is just, there might be a broken branch behind your every attempt, but keep moving on resurrected legs. Just surrender and give, and fix your eyes beyond yourself. And one of the things that this song so consistently reminds me is when we go through hard moments, sometimes it's like fog, in the forest, this picture, and we can feel like it's just us and we're just struggling alone. And the bridge of this song, what if the sun comes out and you get a glimpse, and it's this picture of neural pathways, or pathways, you know, through this crowded forest. You know, it's like you try so hard, you hack away at this, forging this new path, and then you come back and all the vines have grown back over, and you do it again and all the vines have grown back over, and you keep showing up and doing that work until one day you realize this path you've made is now a road. And also, it's not just for you, because there is a whole possibility of people that because of what you've lived and you get to share that story, that they will find hope in their current moment, and that there's a whole world of meaning to this moment that is beyond your own, you know, fortification. It's like, and that can be the hope sometimes when I'm really having a hard moment and I don't want to be there. But it's like, I've more often than not, it's those moments where I feel like light breaks through are the ones I'm sharing with my friends when they're struggling. And I'm like, I know, like I've been in those places, and this is the way truth or grace has met me there. And more often than not, it brings, you know, that resurrected legs movement forward. And it's such a beautiful picture. So yeah, that's an invitation to just rest.
Amen. Well said.
And we need rest. Lots and lots and lots of it. Oh my goodness. Well, we have 3 more songs for you guys. So thanks for hanging in there with us. This next song, Step Away, is about stepping into calling. So step away. As the path clears and we begin to see our calling and purpose more clearly, the weight of our past or recurring struggles and feelings of wandering can make us doubt ourselves. We may feel like we've tried so hard to create something beautiful only to see a mess. But God calls us to step away from shame, away from the world's standard of a beautiful life, and into His presence. His call is not thundering down, but found in the gentle whisper that invites us to turn from all the distractions the world offers and embrace our highest calling, to live a life of love and worship that we were created for. So we present to you, Step Away.
Define all my attempts to make something beautiful of this one life. I've been pulled so many directions. Now I'm just confused by all these messes. But now I'm hearing a calling of a voice that's whispering. So step away and feel the weight of this call. You were made to be a flame, a blaze in my heart. Step away. Truth is your torch, no matter where you've gone. Don't deny all these impacts that this world's making on you. Oh my child, would you please listen to my words instead of singing your blues that have made you a wandering, and the wandering's meant for dancing to my song. So stop looking out there, now that you know you're just looking for my heart. So step away and feel the weight of this call. You were made to you be a flame, a blaze in my heart? Step away. This truth is your torch, no matter where you go. Keep on wandering round my heart. Will you be my wanderer? Letting my love lead you. Every single path and place you land your feet. Keep you running back to my arms. So just step away. Just step away.
There it is, Step Away. This song is one that comes to mind so often for me. You know, each of these songs on the album are these like tangible reminders of truths that over and over I constantly need to be reminded of. And one that I've wrestled with so much in my life is feeling like a mess, just internally, with all these aspirations and ideas and things going in these avenues. Like, I'm not a linear person, and that's part of the gift and the curse of being creative, I think, is just you can feel like you're pulled so many directions, and relationships and outlets and avenues, and you know, it's like rooting from this place of, I want to create beauty in this world, and I'm so motivated for beauty and for connection. But it can make it for a very like messy life of all these things, and I've struggled with like, where's the cohesive through line, you know, at times, and this song was such a tying together of like, God was like, yeah, keep wandering, keep exploring, like it all comes back to my heart. You're made to be a flame, like. In Hebrews 12, it talks about our God is, let's offer, you know, a service to the Lord with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. Mm-hmm. It's like, you were designed to worship, you know, and all of these things are just different ways that you've seen God showing himself in all these places. And it's like, it doesn't have to make sense. Like, keep exploring, keep wandering, keep being the person I've created you to be. And I will change your shame into praise and your mourning into dancing. And so it's just an invitation of like, instead of getting hung up on all the weight and what you experience of this world, let's take that and let's make a song out of that. And just really accepting, you know, the song is just helping me to remember to accept the messiness.
And I have to tell you that that's been one of the most delightful parts of getting to know you as a person is how many times have we laughed hearing about a new creative endeavor that you're thinking about or embarking on, and it's like, of course Meg does that, because it's beautiful and creative, and it's just, and it's been refreshing for me too, because I do tend to be a little bit more of a linear type person, and so to be exposed to what you bring to the table, it just creates this variety to life that just makes it all that much more enjoyable.
Yeah,
so it's been
thanks.
fun.
Yeah, so for those who can relate, it's definitely just, you know, this call to like step away from these, and we were talking about that earlier, standards that we can set to. It's just like stepping away from those things and into a whole different posture of orienting our lives and our minds and our focus.
Yeah.
And because we can get so caught up with what we are perceiving.
Right. One of the things that this song brought out for me is I feel like a lot of people in this world, in this culture, get kind of pulled into the thinking that there is one singular purpose or one singular calling for one's life. And if you don't get it, you missed it, and then it's done.
Yeah.
And I mean,
That's it.
I've been through that a couple times in life of like thinking you made a mistake that just eliminates the possibility of redemption to any degree. And Step Away reminds us that that's not it, you know? I wrote, some believe that there's one singular purpose or calling to anyone's life, and this might cause anxiety, that it could be missed. But this concept that your purpose is to love and be loved completely alleviates that.
Yeah. That reminds me, like, there was such a transformative, like, basically those words of, like, you know, we're so often asking, what's my calling? What's my calling? What's my calling? And this guy on this podcast was like, actually, the question we should be asking is, what's my context currently? Because your calling is who you are. And you bring who you are into whatever you're doing, and you drop that into all these different contexts, and it changes.
Yeah.
It's in motherhood. It's in writing an album. It's in washing your dishes. Like, it's, you know,
exactly.
like it's everywhere, but like bring who you are into that at all times.
And there's a beautiful freedom to that too. I remember my brother was going through a period of life where he was truly just earnestly seeking what God's will was for him. And God wasn't answering him, and he was starting to get a little frustrated by it. You know, Lord, I'm trying to be obedient, and I'm trying to ask you what you want from me here. And he came to realize that it was actually a period of growth for him, and God was kind of giving him a little shoe, you know, motion. Go do what you're going to do. You get to choose. You have freedom. You are who I want you to be. You know what I mean? And step into that and then figure it out. And again, just coming back to that journey being the destination itself.
Yeah. It's so freeing.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't know. I don't have to figure it out. I'll just keep showing up.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so good. Alrighty. Linnea, you want to lead us in for thank you?
Yeah.
And we want to shout out to Gary. Well, that was from Mirage and Illusion. We wanted to just mention that just the guitar playing on Mirage and Illusion. I had just wanted to throw out a thanks for him on the little lead guitar bluesy solos there. Yeah. So
I think you wanted to mention on this one that this was actually the very first song that we recorded.
There we go, too.
Yeah.
So that was this. So thank you. Many of you probably already heard was the very beginning of our journey together. So this was the first invitation that was like, hey, do you guys want to join me? And I start out with like, let's just try recording one song. And I picked this song because felt like it was fairly easy to catch on to. There wasn't a ton of layers and all these different melodic pieces happening. And so I invited these ladies in, and Courtney also joined us, and we recorded this song together as just like a test run. Let's see what this is like. And
it was right before Thanksgiving too, so that worked out nicely.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to release it on Thanksgiving Day, but as things always take longer than you expect. So this was the beginning of our journey together, and after this song, it was kind of like, all right, so what do you guys think? And we're all like, do you guys want to like continue? And it was like a unanimous like, let's keep doing this thing. And so that was so fun to just kind of launch into the next chapter.
This song really does like hold a special place in my heart because of all that. And the fact that everybody has had a chance to listen to this one before, but now I feel like they can see the whole picture of the album. I'm just really excited. Okay, so thank you. When we accept that our deepest heart's aching is intended to be satisfied only in the context of worship, that leads us into gratitude, and gratitude changes how we see everything. We're able to pause, even when we don't know the whole story, and simply say, thank you. We shift from striving to receiving, from fear to trust, from searching for purpose to resting in His goodness. A life of thankfulness isn't about everything making sense. It's about believing that whatever is in front of us, in both joy and struggle, is enough and infinitely better because He is with us and will never leave us.
So we present to you, thank you.
So now what I have arrived upon peaceful shore. always easy, but it's better with you. I sense you wanna speak your words, so sail across my tongue. I'll provide the breathing, I'll dance right along. I sense that this solitude is very full of you. I won't walk away, I know I was made to say thank you. I was made to say yes to every good thing you keep doing. So I'll keep singing louder, I'll dance your new tunes. The road's not always easy, but it's better with you. You've started in my two lungs, so I'll give you everything I've got. I'll strum upon my guitar even when no one's listening, 'cause the beating in my heart's from the breathing that you've started in my two lungs. So I'll give you everything I've got. I'll strum upon my guitar even when no one's listening, 'cause the sky won't stop when my time does, and I won't regret a thing. If I learn to love and see that's enough to whatever's in front of me, so I'll just say thank you. I'll just say yes.
So there it is. Thank you. One thing that came to mind about this song as we were kind of preparing for today, I was thinking back to like you asking us to, join in on this journey, and I remembered one of the first things we worked on together. The first time we ever played instruments together was working on this song. We met and we're just like, hey, let's kind of jam and see what comes of it. You were kind of looking for ideas for the drum part, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, just really intimidated still, and just not feeling like, I really don't think this is gonna work. I mean, I don't know how I can make this work. And then we got together and we were working through it, and it all went fine. But I was also just like really struggling that day with something, and something about just like being with Meg. You probably can agree with me on this. It's just like all of a sudden you just start opening up. You just start sharing things. And we like worked through something, and I remember being in tears, and we prayed about it, and I just like, it was such a gift. And I think that was God kind of telling me like, hey, this is a good relationship that I want you to explore, and I want you to like say yes to this. And it helps that I enjoy the song. And but yeah, that was just something that came to mind. It doesn't really have anything to do with the lyrics, but
Yeah, well, it's the beginning of the journey, and that's always part of the process. One of the things with this song that is just such a special memory and beginning of it is it was like around the time of my birthday many years ago, and I was having this strange moment, and I was feeling really disoriented. And I realized it was because I was at peace and all was right in the world. And I'm like, what do I do with this? And I remember in this moment, my dear friend Kate, and she's from Austin, Texas. She's like a spiritual mother, mentor, friend. I remember talking to her about something similar, prior to that. And I was saying, just when everything is like well and good, and there's not something hard that you're working through and working towards, it's like, I don't know what to do. And she was just like, looked at me, she's like, you just say, thank you, God. And so in this moment, before my birthday, I was sitting there disoriented with peace, and her little, you just say thank you, God, popped into my mind. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do that. So I sat down to write a thank you note to the Lord, essentially. And this song was just like, and compare that with Mirage and Illusion that took probably 8 or 9 years to compose. This song, within sitting down, within 10 minutes, I was singing it to my husband's family. I don't ever like sing new songs to people, but I'm like, listen to this song. And it was just like, it was just all there. And it immediately made sense. And it was just such a gift. And I don't know if it was God being like, I like what you did there. Good job. Just receiving the gift I wanted to give you.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's such a cool story. A spirit of gratitude is such a powerful thing to have too, that I love that we included this on the album, especially in the context of all of the ebbs and flows that we've been discussing this whole time. It struck me that having that gratitude is one of the best defenses against the enemy, because he's saying you lack, you don't have this, you don't have that. But when you just are thankful for what you do have, that there's like, it's like earmuffs almost to like those accusations.
Yeah. It's such a shift. Awesome words. Well, as we come in towards our last song here, I wanted to go back so we could hear a little bit more from Elise and Courtney. They were on 4 of these songs, and the last song, Home, especially has these beautiful violin parts, and they had some really awesome insight to share about the journey and how it lands on our last song, Home. So before we get into that, let's hear a little more from them. A real fun time. So specifically on this album, you guys were on 4 songs with the violins. That was Old Guitar, Mirage Illusion, Come Rest, and Home. And out of those songs, or any song on the album, I was just curious to hear if there was a song or 2 in specific that really resonated with you, and just how it impacted you. So if you want to share about that.
Well, to be honest with you, I really relate more with the melodies and the layers of harmonies. I don't tend to listen to the words so much. I'm more focused on the instrumental music part of it. So my answer might be a little different than most people. But Mirage and Illusion, the melody, it was really fun to play. That, first of all, that's my favorite one. And just the melody line and how they all fit together, it was really great. And Home also, with all the harmonies and the layers of music, it just really spoke to my soul. And so that's how I relate mostly, is the musical feel of the songs. So those were my 2 favorites. But.
Yeah, and that reminded me, we were talking earlier about how originally these songs started with just me recording with these MIDI electronic instruments and violins, and a lot of that was just some really simple held out harmonies, and how for a violin player that might be a little bit more simple than you're used to playing. So I've appreciated you guys bearing with me on some of the more drawn out long notes, and as well as so I don't have a classical musical background, and I am just kind of winging it most of the time. And so you guys have been so gracious to bear with me as I've just given you random pieces of music that aren't really making any sense, and we've been able to work together to help get you guys music that's readable, and has helped me grow, as a musician. But yeah, it's been fun to just see these ideas that were just originally these computer generated violins evolve into like human beings expressing them with emotion that a synthetic instrument could never do. So thank you guys for bearing with me. And then, how about you?
I think Mirage Illusion, lyrics-wise, has stuck with me the most. I feel like I can hear the lyrics, mirage illusion, stop messing with my mind, when I'm feeling particularly susceptible to lies or things that are impacting how I am feeling or acting, and being like, no, this is a lie. And then where should my attention be in focusing it on the truth? And so I think as a mom, as someone who lives in the world and is facing both physical, spiritual, mental attack, can be that place in the mind is where it starts. And I feel like that's been something that has always been a challenge for me, is to thinking about renewing my mind, and starting there is where our thoughts start leading to our actions, leading to our habits and patterns in life. So that one, as far as lyrics wise. And also, as far as the interesting to play, Home and Mirage Illusion were really fun. It was fun to see Meg come out as a composer too, and start writing those parts, because I think those were ones that didn't necessarily have parts to begin with. And then when Elise and I came in, she was like, wait a minute, inspired, and started writing it up.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's been fun.
Yeah, I forgot about just kind of, there's been a collaboration.
It has, and I think my favorite thing from you is I'll be like, okay, I can make up something, Meg, but just tell me what key it's in, and you'd be like, I don't know, let me look at the chords. Just like, I'm like, you just give me a starting note maybe. But you've grown so much as a composer through, I think, this project and some of the things that you've done and been able to write for us. It's been fun to see that, and to see some of it coming out.
And apologetically, we've discovered most of the songs in this album are in the key of E, which also happens to be one of the more difficult ones to play on the violin.
That's been a bit of a challenge.
So who made the joke that this current album is called Out of Exile, but our next, I think it was Amy, our next album should be called Out of E. So it'll be the challenge for me. I think Home is the only one potentially that's not in the key of E.
Yes.
So it's
which
like
is interesting. Bach especially believed that keys had really specific meanings for spiritual meanings. And so just where your body is hearing those pitches and those tones and the relationships between them, you're stuck, I guess, in E. And then you come out in Home.
It's wild.
Yeah, and it goes to C, which I think is supposed to be the holy heaven key.
Right.
Is it?
So
well, it's Home.
Yeah,
Gosh,
that's there you go.
How fun. Oh my goodness. Well, in closing up, is there something that you would like to share with the community, something that they hope, that you hope the community experiences as they listen to this album and the songs and what they take from it?
Well, I connect, like I said before, emotionally with the melodies and the layers and the sound, and I just hope that people can also feel that and connect the same way when they listen to it. Just for it to stir your soul and make you think about things in a different light that maybe you haven't before. But I'm going to listen more to the lyrics.
Well, now you
I've been really focused on the musical, the instrumental aspect of it, but and that's resonated with me, and I hope other people can feel it too. But I just the way that you feel in your daily life and how you relate with the Lord, and
so awesome. Thanks. How about you?
Yeah, I hope people feel seen when they hear and listen to the lyrics and feel the music. I think that has been one of your goals, is to bring to light giftings, bring to light community, and bringing people together. And so it's been a pleasure to work on this project, and I hope that comes across, because I know that has been your heart through the whole thing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
And this tea time. So cheers to that. And to the next album being Out of E.
I just thought that was the coolest detail that Courtney shared, that, the whole album was in E, and then we rise up out of that into, I think it's C, if I'm not incorrect. Yeah. It's just brilliant. I think that's so cool. And that's such a good example of how God himself is in this album and in this process. Like, I know there were a couple songs that, having obviously already admitted that I'm not the most versed bass player that exists, there were a couple times that maybe you had a foggy idea, but like not anything concrete for me to latch onto. and I'd just pick up my bass and play, and something would come out, and it was really cool and sounded really good. And I'm like, thank you, Holy Spirit. Like
Yeah.
no gratitude or no acknowledgement of myself, but just like, thank you, Lord, for that assistance. And
It's confirmation of that. Like, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfect in weakness. Like,
Yes.
I had no idea all these songs were in E. It just felt right.
Right.
And then C felt right, and it felt right to put it there.
Yes.
It's like, but the fact that there's like this whole like even theory behind it is so incredible.
It's like a higher dimensional like perspective, which it's just really cool. Real quick before we do get into that last song, we just want to mention if anybody has any questions for us, we'd love to stay and answer those. So while Home plays, if you'd be so kind as to throw a question in the discussion box on YouTube here, we're kind of keeping an eye on that. We'd be happy to answer anything you throw at us. We also have a couple final comments after the song, and we kind of want to touch on what we're thinking for next steps, so stay tuned for that. All right, so Home. Life is full of seasons where we feel lost, waiting for clarity, wondering if our efforts matter. But God reminds us that He is the one causing the growth, even when we can't see it. The journey isn't about arriving at a perfect destination, but about learning to trust Him through every turn, every valley, and every unexpected challenge. No matter how dark the road gets, His presence is our constant, and in Him we always have a place of belonging to return to. So with that, please enjoy Home.
Something to show before I lose my fire. Help me see in every seed I've anticipated that doesn't grow. Oh, you know how hard I've tried, and now I'm asking for you to come into it this time. Ready to open my eyes. I'm coming to terms with never arriving. Help me see every turn, one more hill I'll climb. Help me see, but I see my feet, they're growing stronger. Hey, yeah, all in debt, because you're there, you've never left my side. Oh, the valleys are blue, but you're always bright. So help me see, 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 help me see what you're doing in me.
is, home, our final stop in the journey. And I want to share about kind of where the song came out of was two very particular seasons when we were living in Michigan. We were living in Austin at that time, and we were up living in Michigan for the summer. And at this point, we moved away from Austin, not knowing we'd move back at the end of the summer, but we completely had uprooted our lives. And it was a very disorienting season. And Corey was traveling all over the country for work, and I felt very, very lost. And we were living, my kids and I were living part-time in a TV. Melody was a baby. Like, it was a crazy season. And I remember my dad put a piano upstairs of this barn. He lifted up there with the tractor, and I would go to this piano in this barn and sit there and write songs. And I had all these aspirations for that summer, and all of them kind of crumbled. But this was the one thing that I felt like tangibly came out of that summer was the essence of this song. And, just seeing all these efforts I've made, I don't see where they're going. And it was just this cry, like, help me see what you're doing in me. And also at the end of that summer, my grandma ended up passing away. And then it was a couple years, this song never made, progress. I could never quite find what else the song wanted to say beyond, like, basically, like, my things aren't growing, help me see. Like, that's kind of as far as I got. And I could never find a path back to the song until 3 summers later, 2021. We were living in Michigan, and my dad was kind of struggling in his last stages of Alzheimer's. We didn't know it was his last stages, but it was getting worse and worse. And he passed away at the end of that summer. And it was as I was confronting this atrocious thing that was happening to his body and his mind, I would go out to my little piano in the barn and write. And it was in that place of realizing we can't find completion here. We can't, it ends, and finding, like, home isn't a place, it's a person, and realizing the Lord wanted to really hold me through both of those seasons of such disorientation. And so that's kind of where home came from. And it's been such a gift, that song over and over again, a landing point.
Yeah, I was kind of feeling like if anyone were to take something away from the album, like, I just think of my kids. Like, what message from this album do I want my kids to learn someday, whether they learn it by watching this live stream or not. But it's just that message that we never know where the Lord is going to take us, but we can ask him to give us eyes to see, and help me see, and just taking each step one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think there's such comfort in that too. Oh no, I'm thinking I'm finding a home, resting here inside of your arms. This means that no matter where you find yourself in life, you can always have the comfort and the reassurance of home when you have God. That's been my takeaway.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we were looking at some of these questions that came in over the break, and one of the questions of asking about Meg, how did you get to be wise? And, realizing that I've been through a lot of mistakes and made a lot of, just been through some really hard places over and over again. And I think my desire to grow and to accept the process of what's happening and come through it a different person, and my simple willingness to say, all right, what's going on here and how can I grow through this? I have an intense bent on needing to find resolution in all things. I don't like to leave things hanging. And so I think that journey has sort of propelled me into just, trying to learn as much as I can, and also sitting, with other mentors and people who have gone before, who have made this path, and sitting at their feet and saying, how do I do this? Like, help me. You know, my dad always said life's not long enough to learn everything the hard way. And I took that to heart, and I was like, I don't want to figure this all out on my own. Like, tell me what you've learned, and trying to really glean that wisdom from others. And so I think that's one little piece and part of it. Yeah.
Well, Linnea made a great point of where you start by learning from others.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that you tend to be really diligent about being in scripture every day. And I just think that's, you know, a reminder to all of us that that's how he speaks to us oftentimes. I don't know how many times you've sent a message to us and been like, oh, you guys, I was in the Word this morning, and there's always something, and that's truly how he talks to us many times. So
and
I
the
think that's a
Bible,
big part.
the Bible is really a compilation of stories of imperfect, flawed people and their interactions with this being, you know, that we call God, who loves us so much. And so who better to learn from but, you know, those people. And it's not about being perfect or, you know, everything the album has said up to this point. It's just about being obedient and listening and being in relationship with him. And it's beautiful. Yeah. And the Bible also says that if you ask for wisdom, you will receive it. So that earnest seeking of that, you know, out of you.
Help me see.
Exactly.
Yeah. As uncomfortable as that question is, I feel like it's more just like, like receiving the process that's there and really seeking to learn and grow always.
Mm-hmm. And staying in truth through it.
Yeah. And I think another question we saw in there was, will this live stream be available? Yes, for a time. We will probably eventually release smaller clips of it. So the full thing will definitely be up for a while, and then we'll see if we end up kind of breaking it down into little episodes in the future. So yeah, but it'll be available, especially for those who weren't able to sit through our long-winded storytelling time today. And for those of you that have, cheers and thank you. It's been awesome. And I just specifically want to shout out to all of our moms.
We know our lit watching.
Gotta love it. That support. I mean, all of us, you know, in our journeys, our parents have been such a huge role in shaping our musical and saying yes to us and helping provide us with those avenues and opportunities and exposure. So that's such a gift. I also want to just shout out to Kate and Melinda and Mercedes in Austin. You guys were such a part of this whole journey of these songs during that season of my life in which they were written until we moved back to Michigan. And you guys have been such a source of support and wisdom. And to Amy, you've been such a part of this process and encouragement and calling out resistance when it shows up and helping me find my feet again. I don't know if you guys have any specific shout outs you want to throw out there.
Well, there was this one guy, I can't think of his name. It was at one of our gigs, and he made a really good suggestion on the genre of our music, right? Do you remember his name?
He was the bartender at Cognition.
Yeah. I don't quite remember. Philip or John. Josh.
Anyways,
Paul.
I feel like you should lead into this.
So real quick before we hit that, I just want to acknowledge our husbands have been huge in this. We mentioned Corey,
yes.
but Nick and Darren have been extremely supportive too. So we love you and we thank you for that. And I also think that acknowledging our kids, you know, that the people that really give us purpose in life, the blessings from the Lord. Eiley and Leo, I love you so much. And a really big part of why we're all doing this is for you, you know, to give you some positive things to latch on to. And it's really fun to show that and to share it with you guys. So we love you.
Yeah. And also just another reminder for the mug giveaway. If you guys want to share a song and tag anagem.music in it, and in the next 24 hours we will take one of those posts and draw your name and pick that. And also we will continue to have some for sale, and as well as our digital downloads and CDs. And just want to encourage you to continue in this conversation and to listen to these songs and share them with your community. We're just independent, we don't have other producers, like this is it. And so hoping that grassroots, we can spread the beauty that this album holds and the story. And so were there any other questions before our final reveal here? Do we have any other questions? Okay. So yeah.
Just one more thing. I just was going to say, if anybody that's watching at any point in time ever needs anything, especially prayer or want to talk about anything, we're always open for that too. We love you guys and we just want to serve. So
absolutely. Awesome. Well, in closing, wanted to share kind of like what's next now that this album is out. We've got that question a few times, and we want to do a little reveal for you here.
Yeah, I think the bartender at Cognition kind of set us up for this, and I don't know if we want to label it or just show it. Are we ready to just?
I think so. I think it's. Yeah, he called it out, and we've been sharing it with people along the way, and unanimously, it's just been such a fun vision for where to take this whole next chapter. So we're just kind of owning it right off the get-go and not really sure what it will look like and how it will unfold.
Or what it will sound like.
But we know it's going to be a lot of fun,
yes. And
it's going to involve our families. So, what's next? Mom rock!
A new genre the world hasn't seen yet. We're bringing it. Thank you guys for coming with us.
I'm gonna bring your head down so they can see you. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us in this crazy, awkward, awesome, beautiful, deep, heartfelt adventure. We love you. Have a great evening, and we'll see you out on the interwebs.
I won't walk away. I know I was made to say thank you. I was made to say yes to every good thing you keep doing. So I'll keep singing louder. I'll dance to new tunes. The road's not always easy, but it's better with you. Yeah. 'Cause the beating in my heart's from the breathing that you've started in my so I'll give you everything I've got. I'll strum upon my guitar even when no one's listening. 'Cause the beating in my heart's from the breathing that you've started in my two lungs. So I'll give you everything I've got. I'll strum upon my guitar even when no one's listening. 'Cause the sky won't stop when my time does, and I won't regret a thing. If I learn to love and see that's enough to whatever's in front of me, so I'll just say thank you. I'll just say yes. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I won't walk away. I know I was made to say thank you. I was made to say yes to every good thing you keep doing. So I'll keep singing louder. I'll dance to new tunes. The road's not always easy, but it's better with you. Yeah. promise the sky won't stop when my time does, and I won't regret a thing.